Hi, my name is Suleyka Bonilla, and I will be presenting my health education lesson plan for third graders on building a healthy body through movement. The essential question for our lesson today is, how does being active help keep our bodies healthy? By the end of the lesson, the objectives that I would like for my students to reach are understanding how physical activity is important for improving our health. I would like for my students to explain at least three ways physical activity helps the body. In and for example, what I expect for them to get from this lesson would be that it builds strong muscles, it keeps the heart healthy, and it improves mood. I'd also like my students to demonstrate physical activities that contribute to a healthy lifestyle, reflect on how staying active makes them feel physically and emotionally, and lastly, identify ways to integrate physical activity into our daily routines. The standards that I will be covering for my lesson plan are PE3L36, which is identify lifestyle changes that can be made to increase the level of physical activity, PE3C21, which is identify the importance of purposeful movement and its impact on quality of performance, PE3L34, which is identify opportunities for involvement in physical activities after the school day, PE3R53, identify ways to take responsibility for his or her own behavior, and lastly, HE3PHC 1.5, demonstrate health behaviors to maintain or improve personal health. So the vocabulary that I would love to discuss with my students today is the active. The word active means to moving your body or engaging your body in physical activity, any type of movement. So jumping jacks, anything that has to do with moving around, jump rope. The next word is healthy, which means being in a good, strong physical and mental well-being, free from any sicknesses or diseases. So when you're healthy, to be healthy means that you're free from any sicknesses or diseases, means that you're in a good state. Lifestyle or healthy lifestyle is the way a person lives. This includes their habits and choices. And in this lesson, we will be discussing how making good choices for movement improves your lifestyle. Exercise. Exercise means any physical activity that involves movement and increases our heart rate. So anything that gets your blood pumping. Another word is endurance, your body and mind's ability to keep going for a long time. Another word that you'll see today is coordination, the ability to make different parts of your body work together smoothly to do an action. Flexibility is the ability to bend, twist, or stretch our bodies easily through a full and pain-free range of movements. So you might see some anyone who's in gymnastics being able to being flexible, or anyone who does ballet. And lastly, muscle strength, the ability to move and lift objects. So anything that allows you to move big boxes or lift up any heavy weights. For my ESOL students, there'll be a hand sheet, a worksheet provided with these vocabulary words translated in your native language if you need it. So let's go back to the essential question. How does being active help keep our bodies healthy? Well, engaging in physical activities is important for improving our health because it strengthens your heart and lungs, builds stronger bones and muscles, improves your mood, and lowers the risk of illnesses and diseases like diabetes or cancer. We can implement physical activities into our daily routines by incorporating movement into our daily tasks, like taking the stairs to get from one place to another, or doing a short HIIT workout after school. So in this lesson plan, my students will be seeing different types of activities that they can incorporate into their lifestyles. And so for the first activity, we will be doing the get up and move for health. And I'll be going over the procedures and the rules that my students are safe and they know exactly what they need to be doing. So for the procedures, I will have my students spread across the room. I'd like for them to keep a safe distance from their classmates. And when I call out a body part, they will do the corresponding movement. When I say stop, they will stop what they're doing and stand still and wait for the next instructions. And the rules for each activity that we'll be doing today is be safe, stay in your station area. If you need to pass by between stations, be sure to walk and not run. Be aware of others around you. Keep your hands and feet to yourself. Another rule is be respectful. Use positive and uplifting words with yourself and others. Do not tease anyone. Another one is try your best. Focus on the task you will be doing in each station. Don't worry too much about trying to get it right. Do your best. If you make any mistakes, keep going. Follow directions. Pay attention to any signal that I give when the bell is rung. Place equipment back to where it was and switch to stations carefully. Listen and wait for the next instructions. And lastly, have fun. Stay positive. If you feel frustrated, take a moment to breathe and relax. The point is to learn and have fun. Remember that you can do anything that you put your mind to. So for this first activity, we have the chart. And within the chart, there are different names of body parts. And there will be a movement that will be done every time I call out the specific body part. So I will demonstrate. I'll begin by demonstrating, showing my kids how to do this. So when I call out heart, I'll have my students call it out for me when I'm demonstrating. They'll call out a body part that's on the chart. For example, if they call out heart, I will jog in place. I will show students that to jog in place, they have to keep their arms bent at a 90-degree angle, swing them back and forth, and stay in place while lifting our knees up and down and avoiding landing on our heels. Instead, we land on our toes to avoid putting stress on our knees and our hips. Then if they say muscles, I'll do the 10 squats and so on and so forth. After engaging in this activity, we will engage in a student discussion. So let's talk about it. What did you notice that happened with your body while doing these movements? And why do you think these physical activities are good for you? So my students will be discussing it. We will be discussing it as a class, as a whole. The next activity that we'll be doing is the Healthy Body Challenge, which is I will have 4 stations set up with the equipment and everything and a safe environment. And within these 4 stations, there will be a specific physical activity that will be assigned and in each station, the physical activity will correspond to the way it benefits our body. So, for example, if there's an activity for doing a line walk or a balance beam, where the kids will follow, they will walk in a line, a straight line, following the line or the balance beam. That would help out with balance and focus. So that would help them keep their coordination. And so this is where we'd be implementing those vocabulary words and using them actively within this activity. And this is where my students will start to see how those specific activities that we're doing, those physical activities, are helping specific areas in our bodies. So first, I would demonstrate what I expect for them to do with their groups in each station. And every time that I ring a bell or blow a whistle, my students will transition to each station so that every group has the opportunity to participate in each station. And after this activity, we would be doing we'll be coming in together as a circle, as a group, and discussing what happened during that activity, during the Healthy Body Challenge. So I would ask questions about how did they feel after moving their body? What did they notice while engaging in these activities? Which parts of the body work the most while engaging in these activities? And again, why is it important? Why do they think it's important to stay active every day? Lastly, we will do a review based on their answers, their responses, and then I'll tie it back to what was discussed earlier. How the essential question, which is how does being active help keep our bodies healthy? Well, engaging in physical activities is important for improving our health because it strengthens your heart and lungs, builds stronger bones and muscles, improves moods, and lower the risk of illnesses and diseases like diabetes or cancer. So I would want my students to now be able to tell me this, to bring back everything that they picked up on in each activity. And most importantly, while doing these activities, I will be prompting them with questions. I will be observing them. I will be doing informal assessments, listening to their conversations. What are they discussing with their groups? What are they noticing that's happening in their body? Is their heart racing? Do they feel their lungs expanding while they're doing the activity? What exactly is happening? What is occurring? And why do they think that that would be helpful for improving their health in the future? And another thing that I would love to end the class with is with an exit ticket. So with this exit ticket, I would be able to listen and hear and read their what they understood from the lesson as a whole. So I would be asking, why are physical activities important for our health? And I would love to hear answers, for example, such as that it strengthens your heart and lungs, it builds stronger bones and muscles. So throughout the lesson, I would be emphasizing these things so it sticks, because as it was mentioned in my objectives for the class, one of the main objectives is that I want my students to at least be able to name 3 ways in which physical activity helps the body. So building strong muscles, keeping the heart healthy, improving mood, or lowering the risk of any diseases. Another one of the questions is, what are 3 ways that physical activity helps the body? So yeah, so they would be mentioning these responses, and I want them to also provide specific examples. So these are things that I would be explaining to them before they do their exit ticket. And then lastly would be, how can we incorporate physical activity into our daily routines for a better and healthier lifestyle? Now, this is where I want my students to also be able to understand that what we did in class is not only for the classroom. They can now apply it, and this would be part of their home learning, which is where I would want my students to be able to do the physical activities that were discussed in the classroom. They can either do it with a parent or with a friend, with a cousin, and they would be naming each part of the body that is being targeted through the activity that is being done. So, for example, some of in within the stations that that the children will be involved in, we have jumping rope, hula hooping, push-ups and planks, line walk, and balance beam. So a lot of these are activities that they can incorporate in the home. So if, for example, if they're jumping rope, I want them to be able to feel that their heart is racing, and that this activity specifically is focused on heart health and endurance. If they're doing hula hooping, I want them to see how it's focused on coordination and flexibility. Why? Because they have to hold the hula hoop against their back, and they have to focus on getting the right posture and rocking their hips back and forth. This is also part of the reasons why I would be demonstrating each movement before they actually do it, because I also want them to be able to do it with the in the right positions and with the right posture. So again, with hula hooping, they have to keep a safe distance from others, and then hold the hula hoop against their back and place one foot forward, rocking their hips forward and back with avoiding looking down. For push-ups and planks, and this is super important that I be emphasizing how to do it correctly, because I wouldn't want them to get injured. So for push-ups, they would keep their body straight, they would squeeze in their stomach and slowly push their body up from the floor with elbows tucked towards the body. And then their hands should be under their shoulders. So this is how I'll be assessing them if they're doing it correctly as well during each station. So they have to keep their hands under their shoulders. For planks, they have to place their forearms. They have to be able to tell the difference between push-ups and planks. So for planks, they would be keeping their forearms under their shoulders and holding their weight up with their forearms to trying to hold it as long, like up as long as they can without touching the floor. And then for the line walk and balance beam, they would have to walk following the line, focusing on the line, placing one foot in front of the other, using their heels first and then their toes. So heel toe pattern. And then using their arms for balance, making sure that not to step outside of the line beam and staying focused to help maintain their balance on the line beam. And all of these things are things that I would be assessing, and even will be able to assess the next time they do it, when they come back to class for another lesson. And so altogether, I just want my students to really be able to understand why physical activity is important for our overall health. I've also included a couple of resources for the parents to check out at the end, especially because it's important with everything that's going on with the rise in obesity and everything. I have resources for the parents to look into and to find ways to stress the importance, to emphasize the importance of physical activity in the lives of their children as they grow. Some of the materials and equipment that I would have ready for this lesson plan also would be the whiteboard and erasable markers, specifically for the chart that would be drawn at the beginning, and also to keep up the essential question so that the students are aware of, they keep in mind throughout the whole lesson what exactly they're learning, what we're focusing on. And also, another material would be a healthy body poster or visual that demonstrates the heart, the lungs. So I want there to be a bunch of pictures hanging up of the heart and the lungs and their muscles and the brains. And also for the equipment, I would include jump ropes, hula hoops, the tape for the line walk, cones or floor markers, and to be able to separate the stations, and then a speaker for music. Also to have the bell to be able to ring it and so that the students are aware when to move throughout the stations. And another important detail that I wanted to include for this lesson is that for my ESC students, I want them to be able to feel to have enough time, to have an additional time for completing the activities as needed. I will adapt the equipment to support their different abilities. So if I have to switch the distance from one for example one cone to another, or let's say for the line walk specifically, make it a little shorter, maybe, and maybe instead of having them on the balance beam, have them do the line walk with the tape. And another, I would also modify the rules, so just to ensure that those students are safe, and they feel safe within the environment, but also they feel included. I wouldn't want my students to feel excluded. I will also provide clear and consistent feedback. So whenever my students my ESC students, I would be on giving them providing one-on-one assistance and giving them feedback to help them in the process, so they know that they're supported and I can guide them to do everything correctly. And then I would have an adjusted difficulty level for them, specifically, and focusing more on them being able to get it done, but the best way that they can, to the best of their ability. And one of the for one of the standards, it was about identifying ways to take responsibility for his or her own behavior, regarding students, ensuring that they're not in a that they're not in close proximity to another group or another peer, so that they don't to prevent any possible injuries. Throughout this lesson plan, they would actually be learning how to keep a distance from one another, especially when using the equipment, when using the jump ropes, when using the hula hoops, when walking on the line beam. And they would also be learning how to be respectful and to be patient with one another, as everyone completes the same task. One of the important factors of this lesson plan is that they understand that everything that they're doing is for their own health, and also that they need to stay safe. They need to learn how to do every activity and maintain a safe distance from each other, from other peers, and just to prevent any possible injuries. Um, and yeah, so that was my presentation. Thank you so much. Um, and this was an awesome opportunity. I really had fun creating this lesson plan. Can't wait to in the future be able to present this to my future students. Thank you.